So, very much overdue. I'll hand over to the father to try. I need to start the speech proceedings.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Most of you will know my name is Andrew, and I'm the father, I'm the proud father of today's beautiful bride, Claire. I'd like to welcome you all and thank you for coming to this special occasion to help us celebrate the marriage of Claire and Stuart. It is good to see so many friends and families here today. And I know that some of you have travelled a great distance to be here. In fact, for some of you, I have received a message from a Donald Trump. It reads, great wedding, don't bother trying to get back in, I've revoked your passports.
Not surprised.
Sorry about that. Well, who could forget 1983? Maggie Thatcher, just started the second term. Ronald Reagan, new US president. The very first CDs were in the shops. And then, in August of that year, along came little Claire. Which rather surprised us as we were expecting another brother for Paul and Michael. But having recovered from that shock, and finding a suitable girl's name, we spent the next few years watching our little girl grow into a caring and confident young woman with a love of sport and animals. In the early years, at first it was all clubs, with the Badgers, the Brownies, the Pony Club, the Skating Club, the Gym Club, Athletics Clubs, the Guides. We were just unpaid taxi drivers. And then, later on, it was a different sort of club, which involved late night smoking, drinking, a lot more unpaid taxi work as well. But I shan't dwell too much on that. Suffice to say, it didn't stop her getting a good degree at Sheffield University. I first met Stuart about 6 years ago. Now, initial impressions were not good. I discovered that he knew nothing about football, and nothing about the Spurs Football Club, obviously. And he had a habit of buying battered old French cars, which always seemed to end up in the scrapyard. But as time went on, we were able to bond over a shared love of real ale. And I grew to appreciate his determined, hard-working and positive approach to life. I could go on, but he hasn't given me the rest of his notes. Anyway, I couldn't help noticing how well suited Claire and he were to each other, even if they did double my house and car repair portfolio overnight. Well, in an effort to seal the deal, I decided to impress Stuart with the family wealth by offering to take them on a ferry trip. And what I failed to mention was it was in fact a 50-yard trip across the River Yare at Reedham, £4 return per car off season. But anyway, the plan worked because once safely on the other side and still in a state of shock, Stuart confided in me over a pint that it was his intention to marry Claire. And here we are, 5 years on, two more delightful grandchildren who you met today, in Ethan and Bethany. He has kept his word. So I won't keep you any longer, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm sure you want to hear the two main speakers. And I'm sure that, like me, you would wish them every happiness. And I would ask you to join me in a toast. I give you Stuart and Claire Godfrey, the bride, the other way around, Claire and Stuart Godfrey, the bride. Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. Hello. Welcome, ladies.
I'm trying to get out my speech.
That isn't part of my speech either. I'm hoping it's going to be a little bit more intense. No? Okay, so I'm going to hand the mic to...
Stuart needs to have the mic. You don't want to give him the glass.
Carry on. I need to go to the hospital, sorry, I can't do mine.
You're not using that excuse again.
Anna's around, I always go to hospital.
So, I'm Stuart now, I guess, right?
Hang on 1 second, sorry, turn it off.
You have to take us out.
Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you all very much for coming. It's lovely to see you all here. And thank you to Andrew for a lovely speech. You stole bits that I have to talk about. But in fairness, I did fall for the family wealth, and when you said you were taking us abroad, I had already planned.
I didn't say abroad.
You did say it away, and I thought, well, this might be the family to marry into, so I might ask her to marry me. I'd already committed at that point, so I kind of had to, yeah, I had to kind of go through with it. But there we go. I would just like to thank the Colds. The first time I met Claire, or I met Andrew and Lynn, it was a week before they were unveiling their new house, their new extension. To save me the embarrassment to meet the whole family in one go, I got to meet my now in-laws for the first time, and then a baptism of fire, meeting everybody else on the same day. And if I forget your name today, because you introduced yourself to me then and I forgot it then, I will forget it forevermore, I'm really sorry. I do try to put names to places. But you have made me feel so welcome, and that extends down to Phil and Eileen, Steph's, wherever Steph has gone, Steph, who's Paul's wife's parents, who also treat our children like grandparents, and it's really nice to be part of a huge extended family that you have made me feel so welcome. As part of my speech, I just get to thank people, so I can get through really quickly. The next bunch of people to thank are my parents. And people are throwing glass at me. I didn't realise it was that bad, sorry. If it wasn't for my family, my extended family, my sister and everything, I wouldn't be here. And tradition is that I talk about an anecdote. And the only thing I can think of for anything like this is years and years ago, I was driving to school. My dad, who's seated here, was driving us to school, and I saw the girl I first took a fancy to. My dad looked at her and said, well, you're punching above your weight. And I've been punching above my weight ever since. Sometimes in different ways, but punching my weight, and I still am. And this is, thankfully, if you don't try, Donald Trump tried. This is the second Trump reference, sorry, anyone that hates Trump. Second Trump, if you don't try, you're not going to get, and I feel so lucky that I do keep punching above my weight. I can stop now. I have planned, and that's absolutely amazing. Yeah. Until she gets rid of me. It's over to the bridesmaids, really. I think we can all agree how beautiful they look. And if someone could please, hand this one. There's a bag out the back there. If you could please grab that and just bring that to me, that would be fantastic. They help Claire so much. It does sound like Robin, you're right. I thought you were reading my speech then. Wow. You learned to read really quickly, well done. Our bridesmaids look absolutely fantastic. On behalf of Claire and I, we'd like to thank you both. And I don't know, where's Nicola? Nicola's there as well. And Nicola is like the best bridesmaid ever because she plans everything. We all had plans when we got here today. And we were like, how do we do this? Well, it's written down. Absolutely fantastic. That's fine. And I think for the maid of honour, the best thing she ever did was help Claire relax on her hen do. Because Claire had been stressing a lot about the wedding. And Emily did an absolutely fantastic job of making her relax and getting at 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, that was fun for Claire. She didn't enjoy that drive home. So on behalf of Claire and I would like to present the maid of honour and the bridesmaid some gifts. I have to rummage through them, a bit like Santa's sack, unfortunately. So, can someone hold this for me? That's not it either. You can tell I'm prepared. I don't even need a microphone, I can just talk loud. One. That's not it. That's not me, they're the same size. Thank you. Thank you very much. who's been shepherding people around. Someone asked me earlier on who is my best man. This is my best man. And
Don't make me, I've got to get up in 2
no,
minutes.
I won't make you cry, don't worry, unless I'm not punching you. I've known Alan since 1990, when he was my sister's friend at school, and we had a joint like of computers and all these kind of things. We've been friends ever since. I've never seen Alan so quiet in my life than the day I asked him to be my best man. He pretended he was hungover and said, I really need some of that hydration fluid. And afterwards I said, you mean water? He said, no, that hydration fluid. And I'm like, you mean water? And then he went silent. And for about 364 days out of the last 365, I haven't heard a word from him. Till yesterday when we sat down and went, we've really got to get this sorted out. It is tomorrow after all. And I might have written a speech, but I'm not too sure. But we'll go with it anyway. But Alan's been absolutely fantastic from the stag do, which wasn't really a stag do, it was just a group of friends from school days that went out and finally escaped an escape room, which we broke. When I say we, right, Jem? How are you? Good man. Okay. And we've been through a lot together, and I couldn't have got through today without him. He was expecting me to be stressed, and I hope I didn't disappoint in the slightest. So for Alan, I have a couple of gifts as well, which again, I have to go through a bag. It's like Christmas all over again. That's Andy. Sorry? I know. Well, tuck that away. You're not supposed to see that.
I can't see that.
You can't see that
Have
bit.
you
So,
seen it?
Alan,
And also,
thank you very, very much. It's been an honour.
cheers, thank you.
I don't know if I'm supposed to toast everyone here. I'll do it again. I'm using bullet points because I'm not very good at talking in public, even though it's my job. That doesn't mean I'm not very good at my job. Well, it does. So other thanks. I've had a wonderful friend, Josh, who has come over from America. He was my training partner for a long time, and someone I consider to be a brother. I would say from another mother, but that sounds a bit cliche, so I'm not going to. But his mum is awesome too. And so thank you to Josh and his beautiful wife, Rhiannon, who came over, or as Ethan calls her, Auntie Rihanna. And she's been playing trains the whole time. And Josh has been, again, brilliant for the last couple of days. And it's been great. It's in here, so I have a gift for Josh. Oh, that's really my Josh's gift. That one is, okay. How stupid running around here. Like a game show giving prizes out. There we go. I need to give hello. I need to give you a hug.
I know. I was like, that's quite hard.
Love you, brother. So then we move on to, I don't know if any of you noticed some of the table flowers. Claire has an incredibly talented family. Claire's mum made the cake that we're all going to scrum in our faces and everything. Made it better, made a beautiful job of it, as she always does, and is always fantastic. Okay, so if anyone dies, it's a food from South Farm, not a cake. The other person that has got an amazing talent is Claire's Auntie Janet, who, if you think they're the same people, one's wearing glasses, one isn't. One is actually wearing them on their head now. But that's just, and she's made some beautiful flowers for us. So on behalf of Claire and I would also like to thank Claire's Auntie Janet. And we weren't going to get her flowers. We thought that was a little bit cheeky. She could make them better herself. So thank you very, very much. Now, and there's also a card. Thank you. And we'd also like to thank John for Claire's bouquet, which was absolutely amazing. And the last person, we're all wearing the same, except one person. This is our unofficial hero and usher, Andy. If you could stand up for me, please, Andy. Yeah. The main reason is his name's Small Man. The most ironic name of anyone ever. Andy has been an absolute rock throughout this whole thing, and so we have, is that Andy's? There we go. So thank you, Andy, and Kate as well, for everything you've done to us. I can't even go and give you a hug, so I'll give you an air hug. And an egg is much. Well done. Thank you, Andy. You've been absolutely brilliant. And if anyone gets injured, this is the table to go to. A&E nurse, paramedic. There's a midwife as well if you're about to have a baby. So I think medically wise. And there's Chloe who's pregnant. We'd also like to thank Chloe, and there's so many people that we would like to thank. Of my dad, there's one thing I'd like to give my dad. Some of you that know us know that my great uncle wrote Supergram. Some of you obviously didn't by that silence, but that's absolutely fine. He also wrote another book. It's a bit like Enid Blyton, but not quite, and there's not many copies of it in the world. So I found one, and I'd like to present my father with that, and also another gift. And for the other father, which is my now father-in-law, we also have another gift. It says Dad on it. There we go. And that's it's not apart from my car, unfortunately. No, because I'm waiting for the next French one to break. And this then comes to how I met Claire. 2011, I was in a psychiatric hospital and I met Claire. And you can draw your own conclusions from how that started and how it finished, but that's when we met. Claire had to babysit me. And there are differing stories as to whether we had dates, who chased who. She'll say I stalked her. I'll say she stalked me. I didn't ask my colleagues about me, about her. But we did have a conversation about books, and they were Terry Pratchett books. Now, I'd lost all my Terry Pratchett books, and I didn't, by any stretch of the imagination, go to a bookshop to buy a book that we talked about in the hope that I would see her again so I could give it to her and say, oh, you might like this. She twigged a little bit that the spine wasn't even broken. It was brand new. So after giving me a couple of brush-offs, Claire then said, yeah, let's meet up for a drink. And this is where the debate comes in. Was it a date or was it not? And I will leave this for you to decide. Okay? Yeah, okay, we can go for a drink, that's fine. I'll be over in 20 minutes. So I drove over in my Batman t-shirt, which I still own, and still fits me, apart from this one. Claire, though, was dressed up to the nines. And I'm like, okay. We'd arranged to go out later on in the week, so I was thinking, this isn't a date in the slightest. So I'm there, she's all dressed to impress, I'm dressed as a child. Was it, and again, you can decide, it led from one thing to another. I gave her a nice hug at the end of the day and said, you take care of yourself, goodbye. And I left, and I won't say what happened on the second time we met. Because, it involved, actually Andrew hinted at it with the alcohol consumption, and Claire falling in a door. I did make sure she was safe and leave her there, but it was all good. And Andrew sort of told you about the asking permission after Reedham Ferry, roughly around where Dad's army was from as well, which was quite cool. And we did drink beer. And then I decided I had to come up with a proposal. And every idea I had slapped me right in the face. I was like, yeah, this isn't going to work, this isn't going to work. So I used to watch videos a lot at night, and Claire, I'd say, look at this is really funny. Like cats driving up stuff. And Claire was getting fed up, but I'd made a video, we'd been on holiday, and I made a video to a Proclaimers song. It wasn't 500 miles, which I know how much you think it was. And I played it, look at this, and at the end of it, it said, will you marry me? And I pulled the ring out of the sofa, and a few dust balls and other stuff. And gave her the ring, and she graciously asked me to marry her. She graciously said yes. I'm talking gibberish now, bullet points. So, from that moment on, it was all good. And I went to see the Proclaimers. And Sunshine on Leith, if any of you have seen it, is a bit cheesy. But their songs resonate with every single one, kind of part of our journey. And so when I saw them, I asked them if they could come to play at my wedding. I don't want to excite you, because they're not here. Because they told me it would cost £250,000 for them to play at my wedding. And I was like, yeah, I can't really do that. So unfortunately, we get the next best thing. Which, if you just bear with me for 1 second. Hello, Robin, you alright? Yeah. That's it, it's two people kissing, it's dirty.
Let Karen do it.
I do did thank my best man for being prepared, but he wasn't. I found a sting. That's really high. That's good.
Let's hope it's in tune. I didn't kick it.
The thought of you, precious and clear, drives all the rest from out of here. The thought of you is just one way. Whoa, it rises up, it elevates. It is weird singing in the room. Like the thought of you heals me again of all the poison that lies within. The thought of you reaches inside, oh, takes it away, conquers my pride. Just the thought of you, and time and space and death just don't exist. Just the thought of you, and I know I need nothing more than this. In case you were wondering. The thought of you makes me complete, and wraps all the bandages round my feet. The thought of you still cracks me up. Whoa, laughs in my face. Whoa, fills up my cup. Whoa, the thought of you sustains me still. Oh, and evermore, it always will. It always will. Thank you. That's the end of my speech.
Joshua. Hey, mate.
Now over to the best man. You can relax.
What is it in? What key is that in? I can play it. Okay. That's the only way I'm going to win on this one. Dear, sorry man. Right, good evening. For those of the most of you who don't know me, hello, I'm terrified. My actual name's Alan, I'm terrified. And I'm Stuart's best man. Yeah, genuine honour, mate. Thank you very much. And cheers, James. And I'm sure you'll agree we've had an excellent wedding celebration so far. We've all got Stuart's dancing to look forward to this evening, so yes, let it continue. But little dip in it at the moment, you know, entertainment-wise, because it's my speech. It shouldn't be much longer than an hour or two, so brace yourselves. It's going to be fun. You'll be maybe asleep. We were a little worried this morning with the weather, but that's really been great. That's been held out for us, and we've been very, very lucky there, so that's been good. So the venue's gorgeous, amazing. When we drew up the line of trees with all the blossom and the lights in, it's amazing. And I thought this is going to be a super special day, so, you know. As Stuart's mentioned, bridesmaids, and Claire literally took my breath away when you came past everyone. Yeah, you look amazing today, and yeah, amazing. Well done, Stuart.
I might.
Well, yeah, I'm actually talking. Yeah, you're outside. Yeah, you did all right. So I've done a little research online, as we probably all did, on how to write a speech, because clearly none of us can. And they pretty much come up with a standard template of there's more photographs. I've run through some comic childhood mishaps, and maybe some, some crazy stag do event that you've done, and that kind of made it pretty tricky for me to write this speech, because I'm 40, Stuart's nearly 40. We've both got children, and that kind of limits your options. So as Stuart said, our stag do wasn't particularly a stag do. It was party capital of Norfolk, Norwich, and by about 10 o'clock we'd had enough. We were, thinking, let's get out of here. And to be honest, the best bit for me was the hotel room. My children were 30 miles away. I love you, by the way. And I was pretty much guaranteed that no one would wake me up at 5 o'clock in the morning asking to go to the toilet. So that was good. Although in my case, that didn't really pan out because I shared a room with my brother. His epic bowel movements and now the folklore of Norwich Sewer Planning Committee was hastily formed after we left there. So, as I mentioned, we're pretty old, we've got children, and as Stuart kind of alluded to, we're geeks. Yeah, I might look it. I don't wear the glasses now. I have got them. They're terrifying. Yeah, so I don't wear them. I've been asked. My lovely partner tells me not to wear them anymore. So we geeks. So I was trying to come up with stories, and I thought, well, actually, two teenage boys sitting in a darkened room, sweaty hands clutching their joysticks, beating off the walls, and playing Elite on their Commodore 64. Probably isn't what you're talking about when you talk a story. Or maybe learning Jimi Hendrix riffs, and indeed changing the day. This is how sad we were. Genuinely did this. This is not a lie. We changed the day Tuesday to Jimi Hendrix Day. We wore bandanas, flares, thanks to my dad, who unfortunately can't make it today, and paisley shirts, and we thought we were cool. We were very deluded as teenagers.
Changed.
Yeah. Thanks, mate. You're right. Damn, that's an entire section gone now. Nothing else. So I thought, well, what can I write about? Because clearly, our youth is very, very dull, really, to be honest. And then I thought, well, how did I meet? And I met Stuart by Joanne, who's Stuart's sister. She was in my year at school, and I remember one evening around Joanne's house, sharing a hobnob. Hobnob is a biscuit. Hobnob and a cup of tea, and we were watching Strike It Lucky. If anyone remembers that fantastic show, lovely. Anyway, if anyone remembers, they have hot spots. And hot spot, not exactly. Strangely, I don't know how, I predicted all the hot spots. Now, in that room with Joanne and I was a very impressionable young man who thought that someone that could predict hotspots must be cool and magical and not some weird geek that I really am. And so from that, pretty much that situation, Stuart and I formed a friendship which included our computer games, our love of Laurel and Hardy films, and playing guitars, as Stuart has ably demonstrated. So,
and because I thought you were quite Chinese, you could do backflips, and I wanted to learn it.
well, there is that, my Chinese heritage. Thanks, mate. Right, anyway, so I was trying to draw inspiration from this, and I kind of, as I'm doing now, pacing around, and I was thinking, well, some people, they draw inspiration from Jesus, right? And they look at the world and they say, well, what would Jesus do in this situation? They see a problem that they can't solve. They're having difficulties in their life, and they think, well, what would Jesus do? And they look at the teachings of the great man, And they think, well, that's helped me solve that situation. Brilliant. So I turned this on to Stuart. I thought, well, use this principle in using Stuart. And, you know, situations that come up, and I think, well, what would Stuart do? But the key difference, the key difference is, I do the exact opposite of what Stuart would do. An example would be, one evening I was walking home, a little worse for wear, to be honest. It was Christmas Eve, cold, icy, and I saw my friends ahead of us. They had all their chips and Chinese food, and they were having a nice time. And I thought, wouldn't it be really amusing if I scared them, ran up behind them and gave them a bit of a fight and made them drop their chips or something funny. I was drunk. So I thought, well, what would Stuart do here? What would Stuart do in this situation? Jim knows this one. Right. Stuart would probably climb the wall, which I know is about this high, and then it sort of peaked up to the zenith of about 10.5 feet, you know, a proper high wall. Then he would leap majestically from this 10.5 foot plateau onto our friends who are merrily walking along eating their crisps. Unfortunately, that plan didn't pan out because he also had a lot of drink, and he missed our friends who continued on as if nothing had happened behind them, and Stuart was on a crumpled lump of pain on the floor and ended up having his leg in cast for about 3 weeks. Yeah, if I taught you to back, it would have been fine. So I thought, well, what was Stuart doing as a Christian? Well, I'm not going to climb walls. Okay, so I took what he did and turned negative. Another example maybe would be when we were running late for an event. Everyone was in the taxi and they were all shouting at us, and we'd just literally left the toilet and we were on a landing. I painted a picture on a landing, there's a big staircase. And we're thinking, well, what would Stuart do to get to the taxi faster? What would he do here? And I thought, wow, I think Stuart would, again, leap from the top step, 20 flights of stairs down, and land, cat-like, in the hallway, grab his jacket, in the taxi, hero, made it. But what actually happened was he smashed his head into the ceiling, plummeted straight down onto the stairs, 15 stairs down onto the hallway floor, concussion and blindness. You did well there. You did well there. So again, now I did like to take the stairs.
Slightly exaggerated.
So my premise to this whole speech was a bit of a lie, to be honest. Whilst I did have to look on the internet, and I found it quite difficult to start with, once I started writing, it was actually very difficult to decide what to cut out. Because as Stuart's alluded, I've known Stuart pretty much all my life, from, when was it, 16, something like that? 13? Oh, good Lord. So, you know, it's very difficult to try and compress that into, what's it been, 40 minutes so far? 40 minutes speech. So, yeah, I mean, you know, Stuart's played such an integral part of my life, from when we were trying to be cool teenagers to now being, both of us being pretty cool parents, and having awesome, gorgeous children. Yes, that's you, Jason. And, you know, it's this right during writing the speech, it reminded me of the influence Stuart's been on me. Come here. Stuart's been on me through my life, and how important he's been, and you know, and I definitely don't appreciate you as much as I should, so I apologise for that. I take this opportunity because you can't answer that. You know, and what a journey it's been from those days in 19 Newmarket Road. Thanks for being my friend. I really appreciate it. So I'm going to wrap up now because I know that I'm in the way of the cake. And I appreciate that everyone's been sitting here very politely and the children are climbing the walls. So I'm going to cut to something I took off the internet. So I'm going to have to say how lucky you are, Paul. It might be a cut and paste out there, I don't know. Because you'll be leaving here today. Told you. having gained a wife that is beautiful, smart, loving and caring. And that was true. And Amy? How lucky you are. I think you get to keep the dress and flowers, so I think. So guys, please be upstanding and raise your glasses. To my dear friends, Mr. and Mrs. Godfrey, may your love be modern enough to survive the times, be old-fashioned enough to last forever.
Thank you, Al.
So, wait. Apparently there's some flowers. I think there's... Okay, there's a couple of gifts Stuart's forgotten.
Firstly,
Well, not forgotten.
the bride, financial on my daughter. And where's Rose? Rose is over there. Beautiful Rose. Thank you to both of you very much. Thank you.
So the final thing that I've been asked to do, semi-final, penultimate then, is to inform you that we're going to now cut the cake, and then once the cake has been cut, we are moving into the room across the way, so that we can then change this, turn this room around, and then we'll come back in and there'll be a disco and have fun. Okay, so that's me. I'm done. My job is done. I can drink alcohol. I'm happy. Thank you very much, guys. Have a nice evening.